You're the only one that has the power and ability to change your life. Yet to do so, you must be willing to take responsibility. So let's start with the responsibility model. At the very bottom of the responsibility model is denial. If you remember, denial is a type of emotion-focused coping. If you are at the level of denial, you can't learn because you deny the very existence of the problem. If you're not in denial, you might see there's a problem, but you lay the blame on somebody else. Can you learn now? No, you still can't learn because with this thinking, your boss, your teenager, or whoever you've blamed is the one who needs to do all the learning. We also might make a bunch of excuses and rationalize the problem. I'm sorry I didn't get that report to you on time, but you know, she didn't get her part of the report to me, and so left last week, and now I have all his work, so that's why I didn't get that report to you. That's making excuses. But can you learn now? No, you still can't learn because you are just rationalizing the problem away. Many of us spend most of our time during the day in denial, lay blame, and making excuses. At the end of the day, most of us end up shaming ourselves. And any time we are in the position of shame, we are unable to learn and grow because we spend all of our time feeling bad and blaming ourselves for the problem. What we need to do is treat ourselves with respect and stand up for ourselves, rather than shame ourselves into thinking there's no way we can succeed. All four responses, denial, lay blame, make excuses, and shame, are below the line when it comes to the responsibility model. We can't learn a thing. We want to move above the line and own our power and ability to choose and create. That's taking responsibility. According to this definition, you are the one who is choosing. You are the one with the power. You are the creator. For many people, such awareness is profound. They begin to realize that for a long time, perhaps years or even decades, they have been giving their power away. They have been giving their control away. When we give our power away and don't take responsibility for our lives, we aren't resilient. We don't bounce up from stressful situations in our life. Rather, we give up or learn to put up with life's stressful situations. It's important to point out that you can take responsibility and still want someone to behave differently or prefer that the situation was different. When you take responsibility, you deal with the reality of the situation, and within that reality, own your power to choose and create. You realize that even though a situation looks bleak, there are always things you can do. Let's look at some ways we can help ourselves take more and more responsibility. One is to ask questions. If you're in denial, you ask, how would I view this differently if I thought of it as a problem? Let's say you're at work and your coworker thinks something is a problem. If you're my coworker and you think there's a problem and I value you, there's a problem. It's that simple. If we're in the lay blame scenario, we ask, what if it's not their fault? Another question I like to ask is, if I refuse to blame someone else, how would I evaluate the situation differently? Answering these questions increases our awareness and helps us move above the line. If we're making excuses, we ask, in spite of all the excuses, how did I end up in this situation? If you're shaming yourself, you can ask, how can I feel okay about having created or chosen this? Or how would I feel if over time this bad event turned out to be a good event? Because sometimes what initially seems bad turns out to be good. How do you feel when you're in control? Most people tell me it feels good. We are more productive and relaxed. Our self-esteem increases, and our behavior is more likely to go above the line. Now, there's a lot of things we can't control. We can't control other people. We can't control the weather. We can't control some computer crashes. And we can't control some of the decisions coming down from the top. How do we feel when we're out of control? We're frustrated, upset. Our productivity goes down. Our self-esteem goes down. And our behavior is more likely to go below the line. We need to understand the paradox that you can be in control even in a situation where you have no control. You're in control of your responses. The best thing to do in a situation where you have no control is to adapt or adjust yourself. In situations where you have no control, you change, you adapt, you adjust, and in that sense, you have control. We may not have control over what happens to us, but we always have control over our response to what happens to us. The response to the circumstances in our lives is more important than the circumstances. In fact, eventually, our response to what happens to us may impact what happens to us in the future. There's a little skinny book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, who was a psychiatrist imprisoned in the Nazi concentration camps in World War II. He says the ultimate freedom is man's ability to choose his response to any condition. So what we want to do when we have no control is realize that we're still in control. We're in control of our response, and often the best response is to adjust.